All right, that was quite a game. That was awesome.
That was fun. That was fun.
I'm a little bummed that we didn't get one of the players to talk to them after the game because I thought that would have been super fun to go and get Mata's perspective, to get a soundbite from Dykes, kind of putting the bow on their season. But I'm really glad that we have the open rink. We can go and chat about, kind of give a post-mortem of how that semifinal game went. So, Gabe, we'll start with you. What was your thought on the outcome of that game? Was that what you expected? Give me your 2 cents.
Yeah, I think it's about what I expected. I expected it to be a close battle, and I think it was. I think, the special teams was a surprising factor for me. Both teams getting a power play goal, and Mata, who was slated to be the player of the game, shout out to Mata, didn't quite catch him before he vacated the scene. Must have had some beers to drink elsewhere or something like that. But that shorty, too, to kick off the scoring was really a highlight. So I think the special teams showed up to play. Wasn't quite as physical, I would say, as I thought it might be. I think maybe the refs, kind of set the tone with calling some of those early calls. But ultimately, it was close. It was, the boys were putting it on the line. They were playing with heart. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Gas Lamp match up against Riptide coming up here next week.
Love that. Callan, what were your thoughts in that game?
Yeah, I think special teams kind of dictated the tempo of the game when you get Gas Lamp scoring 2 of their first 3 goals shorthanded, and then on the power play, where Gas Lamp had that first real chance on the power play, and it's a bad pass into no man's land. Anthony Mata. We all know about how fast he is. I mean, he hits the oil patch in the neutral zone. He goes in untouched, and that puts him up 1-0. You get the power play goal to go up 2, then you're up by 3. And it's like Gas Lamp's already putting Old Town behind the 8 ball. But you know what? Old Town battled back, and they made this they got within 1 goal, and then, kind of fell back into a bit of the back behind the 8 ball. They'll fall down by 2, down by 3 at the very end. But yeah, I agree with Gabe, though. I was expecting maybe a little bit more physicality, especially when the game kind of begins to get away from you when you're down 3-0. But, I think that the referee crew kind of kept things in check, calling some trips, calling a couple high sticks. But that was about as perfect as a game you probably could have asked for a semifinal. Now you lead in now to the finals next Saturday.
Absolutely. No, that's great analysis. I know that we talked about the special teams. We talked about a couple of key players, so Anthony Mata. What were your thoughts on the goaltenders from that game? I know we talked a little bit about that post-game on the stream. We saw a goaltender switch. We saw Irving jump out. I know he's been dealing with a sore groin, so Beaupre gave him a couple of minutes, and then Irving felt well enough to go and finish the game. What's the goaltending matchup like for next week for the championship?
Well, I don't know who's going to be playing in net for Gas Lamp, but I thought Irving was playing on his head. He ended up having, they combined to make 23 saves in the game. So I'm not sure how many of those were Q. Was it Q? And then who was he sharing with? Beaupre. And I'm not sure how many were Beaupre versus Irving, but there were periods and stretches where both goalies in that game were getting peppered. So I think they're both looking good. I know Irving was having a little bit of a hard time with his groin, so hopefully that's not a factor come next week. Hopefully he gets some time to ice it up and feel 100% coming into the game.
Yeah, we got 7 days until the next match, so hopefully he can heal up in time. Callan, what were your thoughts on the defensive structure, their posture for Gas Lamp? Because I know historically we've thought of La Jolla as kind of that shutdown defensive team. I thought Gas Lamp did a really good job of getting in front of pucks and taking a lot of pucks off the shin pads.
It seemed like when they were protecting the lead that they kind of began to squeeze a lot more, inside within the slot area, maybe near the dots, and they were taking away. I thought they did a really good job of taking away passing lanes. So, I don't know how many different 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s that the Outlaws had, but there was always somebody back and, getting a stick on the puck, just, throwing a bit of a pick or, a screen or something. But it really seemed like that when they got that lead, though, guys, it just kind of seemed to in a way, put Old Town in like a bit of a vice a little bit as time had gone on in this game. And sure, and certainly when you go up 5-3, 6-3, and you really can exploit that. But, that had to be probably one of the first games that I can recall in recent memory where we've seen a team really hunkered down defensively, in a game like this. So bravo to Gas Lamp. And I think they made Mike Irving's night really, kind of in a way, almost like a typical night at the office. But I thought that Mike played sensational tonight, and the game could be a lot different if there's a few saves he doesn't make in this game.
Mike's a stud, so he's played a number of tournaments for us. We've played against him a number of times. He can be a tough customer to go and solve. So he's won top goaltender multiple times in a lot of different tournaments. So he's a savvy vet who knows how to go and step up when the lights are brightest. So I have no concerns about Irving when he gets to the championship game. Something that I did want to talk about, we haven't really spoken about La Jolla. I know that they went 10-0. They haven't played a playoff game yet. A couple of guys that I think are going to be X factors in this game. Top of mind is Jimmy Becker. So he got the Top Dishman Award. It's a brand new award this season, sponsored by yours truly, Wild Dog Marketing. So going to be excited to go and present that to Jimmy. Jimmy's been an absolute dog this season. So Guy has forechecked, he's passed the puck, he's put pucks on, he plays the body, doesn't know, when to stop back checking. Those are all fantastic qualities. So I think Jimmy's going to be a big X factor here for La Jolla. Who else is top of mind for you with the Riptide going into this best of three?
I'll say Will Anderson. We've talked about him every time he steps onto the rink. It seems like he's creating opportunities for his team offensively, whether it's scoring, dishing, or just being deceptive and creating opportunities. So I would expect him to be a nice X factor continuing forward. And on the flip side of things, getting a little bit of inside scoop from Captain Kyle Agnello from the Gaslamp Guardians. One of the X factors I would expect is, something that he's called on his team is worrying about the third guy in, because they do like to press. And if they are 3 guys in and they have a wild shot that gets going the other way, expects the Riptide to start capitalizing on those opportunities on odd man rushes. So, to Callan's points, they were able to hunker down with that multi-goal lead today.
Big time.
But if they are in a different situation against Riptide and they are constantly sending 3 guys up, do they have the speed, the legs, and the composure to understand and recognize when they need to hustle back as well? Because we know Riptide with Jimmy Becker and others, they'll be back checking and they'll be in position. Absolutely,
well said. Callan, who's your X factor for La Jolla?
I mean, if it's anyone not named Becker and Anderson, I think you have to go to the team captain of Nick Olson, who again assembled this team, months ago, and it's the first unbeaten regular season in league history. And as we all know, though, come playoff time, those records go back to 0-0. So, I think that Nick, he doesn't really, I think, like overstep boundary, and like overcoaching, for example, because I think he's got enough, people around him. But I think William Anderson, for a guy that I don't think a lot of us knew come draft night, and he's kind
X factor.
He's kind of become like the steal of the season so far, and he's had a stellar season. I will say though, I kind of wonder, is Nate Callan going to be here though for La Jolla next Saturday?
Rumor is no. So he's signed a contract with his team overseas, so I would expect him not to be there. He's got to protect his body, protect himself. I totally get it. So I think it would be devastating to get injured, and you're not being paid for this.
Right.
We're thinking about you, though, Nate. We're thinking
about
you, buddy.
Yeah. No, really excited for you, Nate. Kill it over there. You're going to do great. You're going to have a great season. But, that is going to be quite the blow to their lineup. But they have the depth to go and, I think, overcome it.
Yeah, and they've had depth all season. And, I think they might be the one team who really hasn't suffered from a thin bench all season, what we've seen with, like, the 3 other teams. And, again, that's just part of, life and work and home and play coming into the equation. But, La Jolla's had a steady lineup, steady rotation, steady depth all season.
Well said. No, I think I'm really excited. That last match was exactly what we wanted. There was high energy. It was back and forth. It was anyone's game as it came down to the wire. That's a level of effort that you love to see. That makes these games fun to watch, to feel the energy in the building whenever you're here.
That was fun. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Gabe, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Just, from a fan standpoint, it'd be great that, if the boys brought all that energy and made it a 3-game series next week. That would be something else. But we know Nick Olson does not want to let up any losses on his Riptide. He wants to have an absolutely clean slate, going throughout the playoffs. So he wants to have a pristine 12-0 record. But it would be great, I think, if we could see that go to 3 games.
Be good for the ratings.
Be good for the ratings. Be great for the ratings. Yeah.
Awesome. Callan, any final thoughts?
No, it was a great game between 2 really worthy opponents to La Jolla, with Gaslamp outlasting Old Town tonight. But I agree. I think if you're a fan of the league, if you're a fan of the sport in general, I think you want to see the final series go all 3. But obviously Nick Olson said, I want 2. I don't want 3. I want 2. I want to have that perfect. I want to have that goose egg up there in the the L column for the season. But I mean, hey, if you have nothing better to do next Saturday, come on out. It's free of charge, and you might be getting 3 games next Saturday. Not just 2, maybe 3.
That's a good deal. I take that deal. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the 15th next Saturday at 6:30 for a best of 3.